folks, welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. It is Sunday, September 10th, 2023. And man, it's a beautiful day out right now. It's overcast. It's pretty early in the morning, for me anyway. And it got down to 57 last night. So yeah, it's beautiful out. It's about 70 degrees right now. And perfect weather for working on the bees. Got a light breeze. It's not real windy. It's just great. So today I'm going to get into that Apame hive, the Newt, that had the virgin queen in there we saw 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to check on that. And if there's no queen to be found in there, I'm going to just go ahead and combine that. Even if that queen was good and mated right now, it's still really iffy if they would even survive. It's just getting too late in the year. So we'll take care of that. Also, I'm going to be checking the weight of my hives. Seeing if there's any that don't weigh much, which means they don't have a lot of stores, honey stores in there for them to live off of over winter, and we'll get to feeding those. And also, if I have time, probably not in this video, I'm going to start going through each hive and doing a queen right check. So make sure I see eggs, larvae. If I just see cat brood, that's not good enough. I need to see a larva to make sure there's been a queen laying there within the last 7-8 days, and we'll count that as good heading into winter. If not, we need to keep an eye on it and actually physically spot that queen and see her and make sure there's one in there, and so we're prepared for winter. So that combined with weight checks and probably 1 or 2 more oxalic acid treatments here in the week of September, or the month of September, and that'll get them all set. So with that, let's get started and check out this Apame first. Oh, real quick, I want to show you, you probably saw earlier in the year I caught a couple swarms out of this tree here, but it had really white blossoms in it. It was just a beautiful tree, but now you can see some of the fruits coming in, and it's just little I just call it wild plums, but you can smell the nectar coming off that tree when they bloom, and here's what they look like. But they're mostly seed. They're not worth doing anything with, but the possums and other critters come along here and they clean them up. But yeah, it's kind of a neat tree. There's 3 or 4 of them around here, and man, you can smell them a long ways off when they're blooming. So let's get going. We've got some pollen coming in this hive here. This is our Apame hive here, and I see some yellow pollen coming in here. There you go. I'm not sure what that's coming from. I know they get nectar from goldenrod, but I know the goldenrod is a blooming. But so something I noticed a little strange right here. You may see it right now. But what in the world is this? There's a little cluster of bees there. So sometimes that will be a queen that has got superseded and is left, and some of the bees are hanging with her, or it might be a virgin queen in there, or sometimes it's drones, but these aren't drones. These are worker bees. So I'm going to poke around in there and see if I see a queen. So I got me a queen clip here. So if this is a superseded queen, it means she's basically done, or it may just be a clump of bees, who knows. Oh, there she is right there. It's a virgin queen. So we've had, probably what's happened here, I would guess, is there's been one of these hives that has requeened itself, and there were multiple cells, and this is an extra. So being they're on this hive, we probably need to check in here. So I'm just going to set her there, and they'll go up and join her. So yeah, when you see a little clump like that, if it's in the springtime, you can use that queen. This time of year, it's too late, so not sure what we can do with her, if anything. She doesn't appear to be mated. But yeah, you can see she's fairly small. Not sure what the deal is there. She's a little bigger than a virgin queen. I don't know. She may be a superseded queen that's just trimmed down. Okay, let's get in this apame. So if we don't find a queen in here, I guess we could put that queen there in here and see what happens. Stranger things. Anytime you're beekeeping can break out at any moment. And what I mean by that is strange things happen all the time beekeeping. But it's seeing things like this and learning to recognize, oh, I know what that might be. And use it to your advantage. Got some black ants up here. I haven't been feeding this hive because last I was in it, there's plenty of food in here. Population looks decent. I'm going to give just a itty bitty bit of smoke. So we're looking for that queen, looking for signs of a queen. It's been 2 weeks. It's still a little early for her to be laying. So it's still got us some nectar here. Good food source. So we know our bees aren't starving out. See some of that yellow pollen walking around there. So again, this is going to be a food frame, a little bit of nectar there. When I say nectar, this is probably from me feeding. It's going to be sugar water. So this frame here is the one I introduced that was a brood frame. But we had a virgin queen in there at that time that I didn't know about and spotted her later, because I didn't pull any queen cells off of that brood frame. Again, a food frame. That smoke triggered them to stick their heads in there and start sucking on that nectar. Oh man, look at all that yellow pollen. They are hauling it in there. Wasn't that pretty? So a hive can do what's called such a thing as being pollen bound, where they'll bring in too much pollen and fill up the hive and there's no place for the queen to lay. So that is a thing, and you need to keep your eye out for it. So when I see pollen like this on a frame, any type of pollen, I always look on the next frame. That's going to be where my brood's going to be, because the bees put the pollen right next to where the queen's going to be laying, and they use that pollen and feed it directly to those larvae. They mix it with nectar and make bee bread. So man, it'd be great if this queen's in here laying. I doubt it. I doubt we'll even find a queen, because she probably got gulped up by a dragonfly when she went out to mate. This time of year, it's unlikely. Well, I'm going to call myself a liar, because there's capped brood and larvae on here, which means a queen is laid within 8 days. So we've got us a laying queen in here. Hey, I'll take it. Oh, there she is right there. She's a little one. Right there she is. I think I will try to go ahead and get her marked. I'm going to return this for now. Go get my marking tube. Okay, I'm gonna pull that frame out and I'm gonna bring it over here. Work with it right here on that little board. Catch my queen. And I'll return this. Okay, gotta get these attendants out of the way. So the question is, will she be a good queen next year? She's a little small, I'd say, but we're just gonna go with it and see. This will be a good experiment throughout the winter and next spring to see how far this little hive will make it. And I'm going to grab a brood frame and boost them up. Okay, leave her alone. I got one left to get out of there. There. Well, we're just going to go with this. Put that little attendant in there. Okay, we got her marked. I'm going to go ahead and just release her right on back in there. I saw one of Bob Benny's beekeepers mark the queen and just put her right back in, which I've always let them dry a little bit. There she goes right there, right back on that brood frame. So we need to go ahead and add another frame to this and feed them. Actually, I'm going to put a brood frame in here. I was thinking I'd add a brood frame, or add an empty frame and get some feed in there, but there's not going to be enough space. Okay, since that little cluster is on this double-decker nuke here, I want to look in this nuke. I know it didn't come from here. There were no queen cells in here for a long, long time. So possibly something's going on in this one. Or it may have just lit there and it came from somewhere else in the apiary. But I just want to do a quick check on this and see what it looks like in there. Uh-oh. Where did that go? Oh, there it is. It's behind the leg. Yeah, she's still in there. Adventures in beekeeping. Flying queens. All right. This is a Newt feeder that needs to be painted. And I've fed them one time, a couple times. It's a Saracel. So rather than move all these bees, I'm just gonna move this aside and I'm gonna set this queen right by them. So basically we're doing a queen right check on this hive here. Ain't a lot going on in this top box. There might be a little bit of stored nectar up here. There's not a lot of bees. Yeah, there's a little bit of liquid right there. So they could stand to be fed some more. So when I get done with this, I'll put a block on the front, which means I want to feed this one. This is a heavy frame, fairly heavy, so it's going to have quite a bit in it. So yeah, that's good. That'll be stores for this winter. Still feeding 50-50. This one's about half full. There's not a lot of bees on these. I'm not even gonna look at them. They're lightweight, so these don't have much in them, if any. So yeah, I could feed this one again. So let's get into the bottom box. So the reason this is a double-decker nuke is it was a nuke, and I wanted to expand it to a 10 frame. So rather than going to a deep box, I just added another nuke body to it. And there's some newspaper, so it may have been a combine of a failed nuke. Most of the bees are over on the left side, so I could pull out a blank from each side and move it and scoot them all over one frame, get them off this outside edge. Because in the winter time, that's going to be the cold side, as this is north here. And give them a little space off that cold wall. So we got capped brood, a lot of that yellow pollen that we saw in the other hive. Not seeing any larvae on this frame. There I see one larvae. I do see a few larvae, but I don't see my queen. Got us another brood frame here. And there are some larvae in there. They look really big though, like they might be drone larvae inside a worker cell. But all the capped brood looks good. I see a few eggs. So we've had a queen lay in here recently. That's a empty cup, I believe. So there's a little bit of brood on this frame. I see some larvae. I see a lot of larvae, and I think they are drone larvae. I think what we have here is our queen has petered out. She's done, and that's her. That was on the outside, and they're going to supersede her in September. So I don't see any queen cells yet. This is all food stores here. Yeah, I bet that's our queen on the outside of the hive. All right, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. I'm going to shift these all over one frame. I'm going to do one more quick look for my queen. So not only is there a lot of dragonflies flying around this time of year, we're getting close to where there's not near as many drones out there as well to mate with. So if I had a mated queen, or I could order one, I could put that queen in this hive and it would do good. But as far as them making their own this time of year, it's just getting way too late. Okay, I went and I found me a brood frame from a strong hive down the line here, and to cut down on the fighting and risk of bringing the queen over accidentally, I shook all the bees off of it. Let me give you a shot of it here real quick. So you can see it's got a nice brood pattern there along the bottom and honey across the top. And there's a few larvae out towards the edges, and there may even be a few eggs. So these nurse bees in here, there's a bee that just came out, a couple of them. And so these nurse bees in here will take care of this, and the emerging bees will just boost the population in here. Go get my smoker. Actually got a little robbing going on around here now. Guess we're really in a dearth. We got a 1/4 inch of rain this last week on Wednesday, I think it was. Just over 1/4, 0.27. One thing I noticed about these, they're 7-frame hives, but getting 7 frames in them is pretty tight fit, so you want to make sure you scrape off any propolis on the sides of the frames. It's going to help it fit in there. Okay. Yep, it's a tight fit. It's going though. All right, so this is fully boosted now. Not fully, but some. And I released the queen back into the bee tumor. I didn't want to leave her up there in the clip. She'd probably get hot, but I don't know that it matters at this point. If I find a queenless hive, I might try and put her in there, but I don't think she will do any good. So you want any bees up here on this apame out, because I think they're trapped once you put this lid on. I do see a few ants in there though, so I'm not sure how they get in. Probably through these air vents. Yeah, so the bees are bringing in lots of yellow pollen, and they're starting to do their fall buildup and getting ready for winter. So that queen I found on here, I'm pretty certain that queen came from in here. I saw some larvae that were in worker cells that were really fat and big and crammed in there. So it tells me she's laying some drones. So she's probably out of fertilized eggs, and she chose to leave, or they superseded her or whatever. So we will start seeing queen cells being drawn down in here off the last few eggs, and hopefully those last few eggs aren't drone eggs and they're fertilized. But either way, it's too late for that queen to develop a new one, mate, come back. It's going to be a month. That'll be mid-October before she's laying, and that's just not going to work out. So probably what we'll wind up doing is combining these 2 hives here, get a deep box and put them into a deep, and go from there. So I could do that today, but I want to give this a little bit more time in case there's a queen in there and I didn't spot her and I made a mistake on that. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here because it probably got pretty long. So give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe on your way out, and we'll catch you on the next beekeeping video. Y'all take care.